travelers, and welcome to the Liberty Mike podcast, broadcasting from an undisclosed location in the heart of Dixie. I am Michael, and I am here with Liberty Larry.
How's it going?
I'm doing all right. I'm having a pretty good day, all in all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you done lapped me on the whiskey drinking, so.
Yeah, we sat and talked too long before we hit record.
Yeah.
I went ahead and poured another glass. So we're drinking E.H. Taylor Single Barrel from a couple of years ago.
It's good. I'm very impressed.
It's a very tasty whiskey. I've had this thing for a long time. I didn't open it till Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
When I went down with the other brother's family at Gulf Shores.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this seems like an occasion worth opening it for, and I'm going to be with whiskey drinkers, like people that'll really
truly appreciate the bottle, yeah.
So we went down there and opened it, and everybody was appreciative. Yeah. And it's very tasty.
I see why. It's a good drink.
It's hard to get a hold of here.
Yeah. Everything's hard to get a hold of here.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, everything like
that's good.
Yeah. Anything that has any kind of limited supply is hard to get a hold of here.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had a first date with this girl who lives in Pensacola.
Yeah.
Last weekend. And after we went, it was a nice date. Like, I had a good time. She's very pretty. She seems very sweet. We do not speak the same language. There were parts of it that were a little complicated, but technology has come a long way, and
as far
that
as
really
lessening
helped.
the barrier of language.
Yeah, the language barrier has been brought down a bit, which is nice. She's Korean.
Yeah.
And I talked to her a little bit about the politics in Korea. Yeah. Definitely had to do that through the translator. We got through all the basic stuff without translation, but once we got into more complicated topics, translator was necessary. So they have the big warehouse liquor store.
Oh,
in Pensacola, but in Florida, we don't have them here.
Yeah.
So I went to Total Wine on the way back because it wasn't very far away from where she was. And now I can't think of what it was that I saw there. That's an allocated product here that you have to wait in line to get here, and they had a shelf full of it.
Wasn't Blanton's, was it?
No.
Ah, okay.
No, everybody fights for Blanton's, man.
Yeah.
I don't
even in Florida.
Apparently, I don't understand why. That probably doesn't stay on the shelf anywhere because it's such a
sought after.
Yeah, well recognized. You know.
Yeah.
So I forced you to watch Ghost in the Shell for the first time.
Yeah.
Not that long ago. So Blanton's really made its had its first real impact in Japan.
Oh, okay.
All right. So that's where it first really became popular.
Yeah.
And there are some in the spin-off series after that movie from 1995 or whenever it came out, and I think is an incredible movie. Everybody should watch it.
I thought it was good.
Yeah. You seemed more skeptical at the time, but that's okay.
Yeah.
In the spin-off series, it is not uncommon to see people sitting drinking from a whiskey bottle that it's not distinct because it's animation.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's a Blanton's bottle.
Yeah, it's got
that shape and by the cork with the something on top of it that's clearly a horse.
Yeah, right.
Right. So yeah, that's where it first really made its impact, and then it came back to the United States as a popular thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. And everybody loves it. And I don't really know why.
I mean, it's good.
No, it's good whiskey. It's just not.
It's not
good whiskey
it's
people.
Not like the cult following that it seems to have.
Yeah, it doesn't deserve the accolades that it gets from the common man, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I mean, I have one in my whiskey. Well, I say whiskey in my liquor cabinet.
Yeah.
I have one in my liquor cabinet. It sits up front so everybody can see it. And the people that come over here that are not really well versed in whiskey, that are like, "Oh my God, that's Blanton's. Can I have a?" Yes, absolutely. I never drink it because I don't really. It doesn't compare to most of the stuff in my liquor cabinet.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think it's a good whiskey, but you're right. It doesn't really compare to a real good high-end whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
It's,
even
it's put on the pedestal that's not deserved. I'll put
yeah,
it that
I mean,
way.
I don't think it compares to like a lot of mid-range stuff. Like I would rather drink 1792,
Oh, I love 1792.
and it's less than half the price, and you can get it all the time.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
So, whatever. We got really off track there. I don't know how that happened. What
We start
was
talking
I
about
even
whiskey.
talking about? I had a plan
Yeah.
with that intro. I have no idea what happened to it because I already had a glass of whiskey.
Yeah, right. Already on glass 2. Yeah. It's going to be one of those nights.
Yeah. So anyway, I got a bunch of compliments today, which was really nice. And because I saw a new doctor, and the nurse asked me my age, and I'm going to share it on the podcast. I don't think anybody's. I imagine I have before, maybe not.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so I said 48, and she said, "No, you're not." I said, "Yes, I am," and she was like, "No. Like, I thought, oh, he's probably closing in on 40, not 50." And I'm like, well, and she said, if I'd had to guess your age, I would have said 36, 37.
Yeah.
And I said, well, thank you. That's really good because I'm still single. But yeah, 48. 48 is actually my age.
That's the number.
I like 36, 37. And I thought of, there was a bar that used to be on our end of the causeway that has changed hands who knows how many times.
Yeah. It was a nice Mexican restaurant for a while.
Yeah, and now it's going to be Pier House or something. I saw.
Oh, so it has there is new owners?
Yeah,
okay.
there's something else that's moving in there. They haven't opened yet. We'll see how long that one lasts.
Yeah, right.
The Mexican one lasted longer than almost everything, though, actually.
Yeah, it had good management.
Yeah. Well, at least for a while.
Yeah, till the management left.
Until he moved to
Muscle Shoals.
Muscle Shoals. Right,
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Anyway, there was, when one of those things first opened, I think it might have been Bogey's at the time. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But there was this really pretty young girl, curly blonde hair. And now I can't think of her name. I think it was Anna, but I'm not 100%.
I thought it was Annie, but I could be mistaken.
Okay, so that was close anyway. So you remember this?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Annie, but I could be mistaken.
I thought Anna. Something like that.
It was
anyway.
something like that, yeah.
And she said something to me. So I was still working in Mobile at the time, so I passed this bar, and it was 3 minutes from my condo at the time,
Yeah.
on the way home every day. And I got into the habit of stopping at that bar on my way home every day. They actually had good food too. But they had heavy pours on the drinks, and the staff was really nice.
Yeah.
And there was this hot girl that worked there most nights.
Yeah.
And she said something to me one night. Now, this was a long time ago. I was a lot younger then.
Yeah.
I was about as old as this nurse thought I was.
Yeah.
Maybe a little younger.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been much
Couldn't
though.
have been much there, yeah.
But yeah, I stopped in one night and she said something to me, and I was like, how old do you think I am?
Yeah.
And I'm in my mid 30s. And she said, I don't know, 24, 25?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that.
No, that is really wrong, but
Yeah.
cool.
All right.
I don't think she was fishing for tips.
Yeah.
Because she didn't need to fish for tips
Because
first
she was
off,
already
and-
getting them, yeah.
Yeah. She was pretty direct. I remember I was there with your brother one night, and he was like, he wanted to run a tab, and she's like, okay, so what name is the tab? And he says Will, and I said, that's Will with one L. And she said, oh man, you got gypped.
Yeah, right. That's great.
And then she moved to Lulu's, and I never saw her again.
Yeah.
Oh well. So that's not what the podcast is about.
Not tonight.
I just wanted to share that compliment I got because that felt really nice to be assumed to be 12 years younger than I am.
All right.
That was good. And it was a series of compliments at that place. That was the best doctor ever.
Telling you it's part of their training.
Yeah, it might
They have
be.
training
It might be.
videos. That
I'm okay with it. I didn't know. It seemed
Right.
genuine.
Hey,
I'm going with it.
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm hanging on to that
All right.
because I feel old sometimes, especially when I'm at the doctor
I
because
was
of
fixing to
pain
say,
in my
but
foot.
specifically when you're at the doctor, right?
Yeah. So we got a few things. Where do you want to start?
I have no clue. Hadn't put any thought into it.
We had a guy jump off the Bay Bridge the other day, apparently. Yeah.
That was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday.
Mobile making news every day, man. Like,
It seems. Yeah, so somebody jumped off the Bay Bridge yesterday. There was a weird quote unquote high speed pursuit.
I think that's more of a low speed pursuit.
What was it?
It was some kind of bulldozer.
Bulldozer?
Something. I mean,
I thought it was
front-end
like one
loader
of those.
maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I thought I heard somebody call it a skidder, but I don't know.
I don't
mean,
know what that is.
It looked
Okay.
like a small bulldozer to me, and not a big one. Like I say, definitely a small one.
Like a tractor of some kind.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, they had the little thing that went up and down in the front because I watched it ram a police vehicle and then like start moving the thing up and down at it.
lift him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's interesting. I don't know how that ended either. But
They caught the guy. I know that.
okay. Yeah. Weird news, weird local news here
Yeah.
the last couple of days.
Yeah.
We can start with
I was going to say, we
local-ish
might
news.
as well
Yeah.
move into our own little local issue we've got going on here.
Sure.
So, I don't, it's weird to me. So, like, you hear about eminent domain, like, in the big news quite often, but we've got a case of it here locally in Baldwin County in Robertsdale where the city of Robertsdale has decided that they're going to confiscate some land at the fairgrounds.
Confiscate?
Confiscate. I'm
No
standing
L
by
in
it.
that word.
I'm
Okay.
standing by it.
Fine. Let that go.
They're going to take some land from the
I can't let that go. I will keep pointing it out. Go ahead. Go.
enough.
Keep talking.
from the, I think it's the Cattle Owners Society
Okay.
is the people that own the land. And from what I understand, the mayor and the guy that's over the Cattle Society have some kind of outside beef. And the Cattle Society decided they're not going to sell the land to the city, and so the city's like, all right, well, we're just going to take it, and they've like put it through the city council and everything, got an upvote, and they're pursuing it.
So, did you say what the city wants to use it for?
The parking lot. They're
Parking
wanting to-
lot?
Yeah, they're wanting to put parking there.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Cattle Owners Society, I assume, is using it for grazing land or something.
No, they host stuff during the fair. So it's over, you know where the fairgrounds is at in
Okay.
Robertsdale,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they do the fair. Yeah, so when the fair's going on out there, and then they'll have like livestock auctions there and that type of thing.
Okay.
From what I understand, like I'm not that into it, but that is my understanding of how the land's used. So
And the city of Robertsdale wants it for a parking lot for what? For the fair?
for the fair, yeah. That's my understanding. Like I say, it's a strange situation.
How frequently is the fairgrounds used?
Periodically, I mean, it's not like
It's like every couple months, right?
Yes, I'd say something like
Probably
that.
6 times a year, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. That's my guess. I don't know exactly.
Well, sure. Just rough estimate.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So, but it's just weird to have something like that going on. Like, I don't know. That type of situations always seemed foreign to me. Like, I know it goes on, I know it happens, and you hear, as a libertarian, you hear about horror stories of this happening to people fairly regularly across the country. But it's weird to have it happening in your own town, and the town's in an uproar over it. Like, people are
It should be.
upset. Like all of those council members that voted for it should be in pretty political trouble. And I don't see the mayor getting reelected because he's been in trouble for a while, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, he's won all of his elections. I think he's been the mayor as long as I've been there. So 15 years maybe. And there's always been people against
It's a while
him.
before another election. People will forget by then.
Maybe, I don't know. You're right. Generally speaking, I think people do have a pretty short memory.
Yeah.
But when it comes to local elections, they tend to remember stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially when people are as riled up as they are, because I mean, Like, I mean, I'm not saying Robertsville's full of libertarians, but they're definitely very conservative, and they definitely don't like the idea of somebody taking their land.
Yeah. Well, this is why giving any government the power of expropriation is a danger. It's probably even more so on a local level where you can have an individual, like a private conflict between somebody
two
in
different
government
people.
and somebody outside of government, and the one inside government using the power of government to just like screw over the other guy.
Yeah.
Now, I think that government should not have the power of expropriation for any property. I'm not going to say legally acquired because that can be manipulated, obviously, too.
Yeah.
I would say morally acquired.
Okay.
In the sense that it was a fair contract and or a voluntary exchange.
Yeah.
I say fair contract because if you put up a wager and you lose, you may not feel that was appropriate necessarily, but or particularly fair on your side if you lose.
Yeah.
But you did make this agreement.
Yeah. But you entered into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing what the stakes were.
Exactly.
You said something about the value that they were the mayor's office was trying to excuse it or something.
Yeah, let me read the quote. Give me one second. I should have had that pulled up. My bad.
Ah, no worries.
Let me see. Yeah, so the mayor said, this is quoting the mayor, "It's not like it's someone's homestead or their family farm they've owned for years. 40% of the property they haven't owned but for 2 years, and they were going to sell it for a sizable profit, presumably to the city." But the reason I pulled that quote because it really kind of fired me up when I read it. It was like, it doesn't matter if it's their family farm or if it's a piece of property they bought 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's privately owned, and I love that. Well, 40% has only been owned for 2 years. That's less than half, man. How is that an argument anyway?
Yeah, well, yeah, because the rest of it they've had probably forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I say forever, obviously not, but for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
well, and if they're refusing to sell to the city at a sizable profit, it's because they see the opportunity for more profit in the long term.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason that the government should. This is actually what it comes down to with that, as much as anything else, is that the government doesn't get to decide what is best for you.
Yeah. Well,
or any private group.
It's not the government's, it's not particularly in this case, the city's government's business, what they paid for it in the first place.
Right. It doesn't matter if they're profiting off of it or not. They have morally acquired, legally in this case also too, but morally acquired property, and they refuse to sell. The idea that the city can say, well, if you refuse to sell, then we'll just expropriate. It's just because they pay for it doesn't mean it's not theft.
Yeah, exactly.
The real question about almost everything that we talk about here is consent.
Yeah.
And so in this case, we talk about conscription in this way. All right, so they conscript you into the army, they pay you, and then the claim is, well, because they pay you, you're not a slave. Yeah, but you had no choice in the matter. You have no choice where you go. Like, all your choice has been removed by the coercive power of government. Yeah. So, yeah, you're still a slave even if they pay you. And it's the same case here. They take your property against your will, without your consent. They coerce the property away from you, and then they give you money, and they say, well, that's fair. But no, it was still stolen because you didn't agree to this exchange.
Exactly.
That's what makes it theft, not the exchange of money.
Yeah, exactly. The exchange of consent.
Yeah. So I think the moral here is to just beware giving government the power to expropriate anything. And that's, of course, our big problem with taxation, too, just to tie it into other things, is that, the choice is taken away from you. You can't choose not to pay taxes because you don't approve of the way the government's spending your money. And in fact, I'm just going to segue that into the next little segment.
All right.
So the Trump administration has called a halt to all foreign aid for the next 90 days while they review and approve this, that, or the other.
So no more condoms for Gaza?
No, I guess not. That
Would
certainly
fall
is
under that
falling
umbrella,
from
right?
aid. Yeah. Now, this is a thing now, of course, like a bunch of NGOs are just up in arms about this. This is going to kill people. This is going to cause all kinds of instability in various countries that are dependent on American foreign aid, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. It sucks, man. Like things that are going badly for people in other countries that are dependent on this. But you know what? Things are going badly for people here in the U.S. in a lot of cases, too.
I was going to say, things ain't exactly great at home.
And I think that, there's kind of a hierarchy of, I'm going to use this phrase, although it doesn't totally apply. There is kind of a hierarchy of needs here.
No.
Or at least there should be like a hierarchy of loyalty.
Yeah.
Right? So if the U.S. taxpayer money, because that's what this is, like the foreign aid is it's money that was expropriated from all of us and determined by the government who it should go to, which is a problem right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But if you're going to take money from all of us and decide where you're going to apply this quote unquote charity, I don't think it's charity if it's involuntary, but where you're going to apply this charity, then, in the same way that you say, I'm going to help my family before I help my friends. I'm going to help my friends before I help my neighbors. I'm going to help my neighbors before I help people that I don't know. The government should have the same kind of attitude with the money that they steal from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I would rather help Americans before I help foreigners in America. I would rather help foreigners in America before I help foreigners in other countries.
Yeah.
When people are suffering here and you're taking money away from us to give to help others, I'd rather it be spent here.
Yeah.
And there are some programs that, I think in a lot of ways I'm on board with, but I'm not on board with the expropriation of American taxpayer dollars to do it.
Yeah.
If it's such a worthy cause, Americans are very giving people.
Yeah.
Like all these NGOs that are dependent on U.S. taxpayer dollars given by the federal government, like if their cause is so worthy, they can appeal to Americans.
Yeah.
If it is a worthy cause, I promise you Americans will give. And actually, even if it's not a worthy cause, I promise you Americans will give.
They will. Absolutely.
It's just like, and this is one of my big problems with government quote unquote charity too, is that, it takes that decision away, and it also, it gives an excuse for people not to give.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that in most cases, most people would be happy to give more to charity if the government didn't take their money away from them and do it for them.
And call it charity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know that a lot of people use that as this kind of a scapegoat. Like, okay, well, I don't have to give to support this cause because the government already uses my tax money for that.
Yeah.
But if they didn't have that excuse, if they didn't have that excuse, I actually think that a lot of people would give more.
Yeah.
And especially if they had more in their bank accounts in the first place because the government wasn't taking it all.
Yeah.
And I just think that it can be more efficiently applied. And when it comes down to it, if it's such a worthy cause, there are more good people than bad people. And if it's a worthy cause, people will give to it. If you have to steal from people to give to a cause, it's probably not that worthy.
Yeah, right. Your cause probably sucks.
Yeah. In the same way that I'm going to make another comparison. This one will get us kicked off of YouTube. that if you have to force people to get a vaccine,
Yeah.
it's probably not a very good vaccine. If it's a good vaccine, you don't need to force people to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the whole thing during COVID. Like I said, people were dying in the streets. You wouldn't have to be forcing people to get this vaccine. But
Yeah.
it's just, we can all look around and see what this is.
So, yeah, I'm perfectly content with them halting all foreign aid and reviewing it before they continue it. I think that a lot of those programs will just start up again, and I know that there's some areas where these foreign aid recipients or NGOs that are managing and administering these programs are like, well, just a halt of aid creates a whole bunch of problems, and it's not so easy just to start it right back up again from, in a couple of months.
Yeah.
I get it. That sucks. It does. But I think that it's going to probably expose a lot of waste.
Yeah.
And a lot of corruption. And I'm perfectly content with abolishing those things.
Yeah. Exactly.
What do you want to hit next?
Wherever you want to go.
All right. Let's go with RFKJ.
Oh, yeah.
So his confirmation hearing is going on now.
Should have went on today and yesterday.
Yeah,
I've only heard a few clips from it. And so I heard a few clips on the news, which were mostly not even him talking. The clips I heard on the news
they don't want to play him talking.
No, that's why.
For multiple reasons, actually. But
yeah,
one of them is just that he's difficult to listen to.
Yeah. Well, that and they don't like the stuff that comes out of his mouth either. Yeah. So, but yeah, most of the clips I heard on the news was the grandstanding from the senators and not from actual him speaking. But then I heard on some podcasts played just a couple of clips of stuff of what he was kind of responding to, and I don't know, man. Guy's killing it.
Yeah, I like the guy. Like, the more I listen to him in these things, the more I like him.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. There's definitely a reason they're not playing him on the on the news.
Yeah. There was I can't remember her name. It wasn't Elizabeth Warren, although she did a little grandstand reading her script. and preventing him from answering so that she could read her script.
Yeah, that's one of the ones they showed on the news.
Of course.
Yeah.
Man, that stuff drives me crazy. Like, oh, she's reading her script with such emotion. Like, it just shows that all these people are just actors.
Yep.
You know what? If you're that fired up about this, you shouldn't have to read a script.
Right? Exactly.
We don't have a script.
No.
I've got literally 4 lines of notes for this podcast. And it's really just topics to remind me, like, this is the thing that I want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if I can talk off the top of my head about this stuff, I don't understand why these people can't.
Yeah, because they're not that knowledgeable on it. The truth be told.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those people would have trouble keeping up with me and you. And that's just a sad commentary.
It really is. And we'll never get elected to office after this podcast.
Right. Because we're too on the record.
Yeah. Yeah. I will defend every point I have ever made. Right. That's probably not true. I have changed my position on some things.
Yeah. But
then I would just defend the point that I changed my position. I learned more and I reevaluated my position, and now I feel like this instead of that.
Yeah.
I'd still be defending the position, just not.
I always get irritated when they talk about flip-floppers for just that reason. And I know that there's some people that just go where the wind blows, and to me that is a flip-flopper, and I kind of have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But like somebody just changing their position that can defend the reason that they changed the position. Like, I don't have a problem with that, especially if they changed it for the better. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't get ridiculing somebody for that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that it's a sign of good faith for somebody to have adjusted and reevaluated their positions over time.
Yeah.
Now, I promise you, like, I was talking with, this is a little off track, but we'll come back.
Yeah.
I was talking with our state party chair yesterday morning for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to him for, I don't know, at least a half an hour, maybe maybe close to an hour.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about some issues within the party, and there's like an overthrow of his regime being attempted within the state of Alabama.
Oh God,
And
this is it's so frustrating, man.
And so he told me all of what was going on. And his name's Sam. And I think really highly of
I was
Sam.
going to say, we couldn't ask for a better state chair right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we couldn't ask for somebody that's more committed to the cause and willing to give his time and effort. Like, I mean, the guy is a dude, love him.
Yeah. And I would like to have a better understanding of some of this stuff, but I hate the politics of it. Yeah. But he was a Mises guy.
Yeah.
He got into Libertarian Party because of the Mises group.
Yeah.
And then he disagreed with some of the things that the Mises caucus within the party was doing.
Yeah.
And he left the Mises caucus. And so that's what's caused this now attempted overthrow.
Which is irritating because, I mean, me and you have had issues with some of the stuff going on in the Mises caucus.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't think we've talked about it on here, but we've talked about it off
We've
the
talked
mic.
about it a little bit.
on here. I mean, we definitely hadn't shied away from it. I'll say that.
No, that's true.
But the fact that, like, the whole idea behind the Mises caucus was to get more good libertarians involved in the party.
Yeah.
And we have that in Sam.
Is absolutely,
we absolutely have that, and we know where the guy stands. So just because he had some didn't appreciate the way that the caucus was being handled at some points, isn't reason enough to throw the guy out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see this in business periodically, where people make bad business decisions based off like personal views with different people.
Yeah.
And I never understand it. I'm like, sure, I don't like the guy, but he's good at his job.
Yeah.
And I want people that are good at their jobs. So guess what? I suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you deal with that.
Yes, the guy's an a-hole, but you know what? He does his job really well.
Really well. And I'm going to have more trouble replacing him with somebody like that than I will just like, I got to kind of just deal with these an assholes sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just part of good business. And I always get frustrated when I see different business leaders and stuff like make that bad decision.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this is.
Well, and he told me what was going on, and he was like, and I just, so what do you think about all that? And I said, honestly, Sam, like, you tell me that whole story, and my first thought is, I'm wasting my time in the Libertarian Party.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I would just be better off like pushing the podcast harder and trying to get my agenda instituted through
try
that
to change people's minds with outside of the party.
Yeah. And of course I told him, I was like, dude, I think that you're great. I can't ask for more. And I said, there's not, yes, I'm still a member of the Mises caucus, but they don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Like, my loyalty is to my own principles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the only loyalty I have. Nobody's telling me what to do.
Right. Hold up your little signs all you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's telling me what to do. Like, I will always vote my conscience. I will always make decisions based on what I think is the most moral and, advantageous choice for what I think is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Nobody's telling me what to do.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I bring all that up, I think, is to come back around to the RFKJ thing, is that, like, I feel like this guy is a guy that is directed by his principles.
Oh, I believe that. I mean, I mean, all you have to do is look at the man's history and the fact that he didn't have to do any of the stuff he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, he's been made for his life. Like, he doesn't have to, this is causing him more headache pursuing these things than him just kicking back and taking it easy.
And it's so strange watching the Democrats attack him.
Well, that's what blows my mind, because it really is wild, because he is a Democrat.
Well,
and
it's even more than that. So this is a guy who is to hear the outrage of the Democrats in this confirmation hearing is just insane when you consider the guy that they're attacking
Yeah.
is a pro-life, anti-corporate, environmentalist from one of the most celebrated Democrat families in the history of this country.
You truly couldn't make it up.
And you know what else?
Yeah.
As just a comparison here,
Yeah.
as a contrast, Rubio was voted in 99-0.
To me, that's wild. So even the Democrats were lockstep for Mr. Rubio.
Because he is part of the system.
Yep.
And RFKJ isn't. And
Yep.
Tulsi isn't.
Yep.
And I was actually listening to Glenn Greenwald. He said something like that he thinks part of it is that the Democrats are ashamed because the guy who's actually trying to come in here and break down the system and rebuild it in a different and better way is an out-of-step Republican in Donald Trump, instead of the Democrats who have always claimed to be the ones trying to do this.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. And the fact is, if the Democrats had played their cards right, like they could have had RFK running against Trump and possibly beating him.
Yes.
Like, I mean, that's the wildest thing. So all those little
I probably
staples,
would have voted for
Well,
RFKJ over
I
Trump.
would have. I mean, I can tell you right here. I mean, I don't know. We'd have to see the campaign, but I feel pretty confident that that's the side I would have fell on between the two.
I was going to vote for him,
Yeah.
before he decided to support Trump. I could have still voted for him, but then it just really seemed like a waste.
I mean, we really could have had a true election of two true outsiders.
Yeah.
To choose from, but the Democrats couldn't stomach it.
Yeah. Well, that's what this is all about right now. That's what it was all about with Hegseth.
Yep.
And some of the military guys that I listened to, which is Daniel L. Davis, who gave us the he was the Iraq whistleblower.
Yeah.
And of course, Colonel, you know who I'm thinking
McGregor?
of? McGregor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so bad with names.
Me too.
Yeah. Colonel Douglas McGregor. And both of them are excited. Excited may be too strong a term,
Yeah.
but
They like the prospects.
yeah, they like the prospects of Hegseth here.
Yeah.
Because he's saying the right things for the military men,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is we don't want a bunch of wars.
Yeah.
And he keeps talking about peace through strength. I'm skeptical on the peace through strength. Peace through strength only works if the only peace you're worried about is your own.
Yeah.
Like, if you think that you're going to have peace through strength throughout the world, you're just going to get yourself into more conflicts.
Yeah.
But if you're only talking about, like, for
Well,
the
if you-
United States, if you mean peace through strength, like the U.S. will be peaceful and strong, then you can do that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a funny term because when I think your average Joe hears peace through strength, that's what they're thinking of. They're thinking about the U.S.
Yeah.
and our borders and not having planes flying over us, dropping bombs and junk like that.
Right.
But the elites, I guess, is the word.
Well, the Washington insiders or
Insiders,
whatever, the
when
Pentagon
they-
guys, the
yeah.
think tanks, the whatever.
When they say peace through strength, they mean the empire.
Yeah.
So they're talking about they're trying to create like a world peace through U.S. military, which is just crazy to even consider.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that, like, one of the big criticisms of Hegseth was his drinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that was a big thing. And it was like, he got drunk at a party and he got drunk. Which, of course, again, prevents us from ever holding office.
Yeah,
but
right.
when I was listening to some of that, I was like, 30 years ago, that was the political elite.
Yeah. Right.
Like, you're talking about all the political elites 30 years ago.
Yeah.
What this guy was doing. Now it's, verboten
Yeah.
for whatever reason, but the guy's not uncommon in this respect.
No.
Now, like, there may have been some sexual harassment and so forth. I don't condone it, absolutely.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
At this point, like I think that we have overturned the idea of believe all women.
Yeah.
At this point, I certainly hope so.
That experiment's been ran, I think.
Yeah. So who knows? Like his ex sister-in-law went out and made a bunch of public comments that were solicited by the Democrat Party. That were solicited by the Democrat Party. Like she didn't volunteer a bunch of information. Somebody sought her out and said, "Hey, will you go on the record with this is what we want you to say?"
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what was offered, but I suspect that something was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, I mean, but he got there. J.D. Vance cast a tie-breaking vote to confirm
And at the end of the
Hegseth.
day, that's all that matters. Like I say, it doesn't matter by what margin he was voted in. He's in.
Maybe he'll be good. Maybe he won't. I did think, this is a clip that I kind of should have pulled because it was funny.
Yeah.
After he was confirmed, after J.D. Vance stepped in and cast the tie-breaking vote, he made some comment that was like, this isn't the first time that a Marine grunt has stepped in and saved an Army junior officer or something like that, which I thought was funny.
That's good.
And we'll see what kind of Secretary of Defense he makes. No, that's not. Sorry, that's not the right office. Yeah, it is.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I was thinking Rubio's state. Not defense.
Rubio's state.
Yeah. We'll see what kind of Secretary of Defense he makes. I don't know.
With any of these guys, you don't know.
Well, sure. But like I'm hopeful that he was a guy that was like in it.
Yeah.
And he makes a lot of he's been talking a lot about like when we're making these decisions, we're thinking about the Army guys, the military guys in the field.
Yeah.
We're not thinking about promoting corporate profits and all this other stuff, which seems to be what the people that voted against him want.
Yeah.
This is what he's saying. Like we're concerned about American security and the guys that are in the field having to fight. Yeah. And that's what we're going to make our decisions based on, not anything else. And they're like, no, we can't have that. So what is it that you want decisions based on? And the only other thing that I can think is that you're worried about General Dynamics profits.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Not just them, all of them, but yes, points well taken. Yeah. Yes.
So, and this is what I keep coming around to. It's what I said with Tulsi. Of course, they're like attacking Tulsi again. They're attacking Tulsi and Snowden.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see? I think it was a Washington Post article. Her confirmation's next week, I guess. So we can talk about this
next
more
on the docket.
Yeah, we can talk about this in more detail next week, and I'll try and pull this passage from, I think it was a Washington Post article. It might have been New York Times. Anyway, that I saw, and like the paragraph, like the whole thing, like every point that was made was a lie.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that like this is supposed to be one of the premier news providers in the United States. How can you get every single thing that you said here wrong?
Well, and it is sad because your casual observer will read that and be like, well, this is what's going on. I can't support her.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it was things like after Snowden defected to the U.S. or to the Russia.
Yeah.
He didn't defect. He got stranded by them revoking the U.S. Revoking his passport while he was in the air.
Yeah.
And also negotiating with Cuba and telling them that they would never have normalized relations with the U.S. if they didn't revoke their promise for safe passage for him, because he was on his way to Cuba to go to Ecuador. Yeah. Which had already offered asylum to Assange, which is why he was headed there.
The reason he was going there.
And he was going through, he couldn't travel through any country that had extradition treaties with the United States because he'd have been sent back here.
Yeah.
Like, it's a perfectly understandable decision. Yeah. And there has been no evidence ever presented that he put any American lives in danger with his leaks.
No.
And the other thing that it said was that he had given all of that documentation to WikiLeaks. None of it went to WikiLeaks. Nothing. Absolutely zero of what Edward Snowden released went to WikiLeaks. He gave it to seasoned journalists like Glenn Greenwald.
Yeah.
To sift through and determine what they thought was appropriate to release.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was it was unreal.
Yeah. And
the kind
only to
journalistic malpractice that results in just this one paragraph. The whole article was terrible.
No, you definitely need to pull it.
Yeah.
Because like I say, I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, it's just whenever you sit back and wonder how we got into the situation we're in this country, where things are just so broken and so backwards, a lot of it, the root cause is the mainstream media.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. It's malpractice at every turn.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a gnat fly
okay,
by.
I didn't know if that was a signal. I was like, oh no, what's going on?
And I was gonna blow it, and then I was like, but then I'd be blowing into the mic, and that would probably irritate
not be good
people.
for the mic.
Wouldn't bother the mic, but the people at the other end might not appreciate that. This isn't an ASMR podcast, you know.
Okay.
So I would like to see RFKJ. I think I'm content with Hegseth getting his position. I would like to see Tulsi.
I mean, I want him
get
to
her position. And one of the big criticisms of all these people is that they have been critical of the departments that they're about to head up.
Yeah, which we need. That is exactly what we need. And as libertarians, I mean, I'm sure we're not getting everything we want here, but dang, man, like, we're getting people that are critical of the departments they're going into.
Yeah.
Man, that's something.
Yeah. And every American should appreciate that because it's your money that's being wasted on all these departments.
Absolutely.
And
your
if you
life
got somebody
that they're
that's just
intruding
rubber
on.
stamping everything, then that's just more of your money wasted. Like,
Well,
you
and you're-
want somebody who's going to go in there and try and revamp and save and cut unnecessary projects, and particularly in defense and intelligence and so forth. You want somebody that's going to go in there and protect your rights instead of those agencies.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make. Not only are they wasting your money, they're intruding on your life. And each of those agencies has a way that they're doing it. And I don't know, the RFK thing really is he's just brought up so many issues of health that just aren't discussed at all. And they're so important.
Yeah. There was a segment where he was saying that, you know, he was citing a bunch of statistics about chronic disease in the U.S. And the senator, I can't remember her name, who was questioning him at the time. He like finished with this thing about President Trump has asked me to go in and take a look and make some changes and make America healthy again.
Yeah.
And she was like, so that's the only policy? That's the only thing that you're concerned about?
Man,
like,
I heard that clip, and I wanted to retort and be like, what else is there?
It's Health and Human Services. What else is he supposed to look at? Exactly.
Like, that's what I want him to do.
Yeah. I want him to make the country healthier.
Yeah. Do you not? Is what he should have said.
Well, but she makes that statement like this is some kind of side issue.
Yeah.
That's the central issue.
Right? Like, it boggles my mind.
I mean,
man.
I don't think that the government's going to make us healthy again. Like, and I'm concerned about the idea. Like,
well,
I said I had an argument with my new doctor this morning about immigration. But one of the things that I said to him is that the worst things that governments have done in history have all been in the name of keeping you safe.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And that's always a fear. And it's a fear here too. But at the same time, while I do get that, this stuff has got to be brought to light. Like the health of this country is in dire straits.
He's talking about things that nobody else is talking about.
And here's my thing with him. Like, because I don't know that, I mean, he obviously knows more about these subjects than I do. So I'm going to defer to him with stuff. I don't always believe that he knows exactly the right answer or the right thing, but at least he does care about it. He does understand it. And it's being brought to light in a way that it's amazing that this doesn't come up every election.
Yeah.
The fact that this country is as fat as it is, you would think that would come up every now and then when people are running for office, and it never does.
Yeah. Okay. So you've never traveled overseas, right?
No, but my daughter traveled.
Ask Callie.
Yeah. She's told me. Like,
Yeah.
we've talked about that.
When you're in Europe and you're looking around, if you see somebody fat,
They're
10
American.
to 1, they're American.
No, that's what we and her talked about that when she got back. She said she's like, I can tell you about it, but until you've experienced it, you just don't understand.
Yeah.
Like it's just what it is. We're just numb to it here. So I don't know. It's just, so yeah, I hope he gets in. Like, I mean, he was the one I was the most, like a lot of these nominees
I think
liked.
that he can have the biggest impact on the future of this country.
I agree. I hope he gets in.
Yeah. Tulsi, a close second.
Yeah, Tulsi's right there with him. Yeah. And the fact that they're both Democrats is just...
I know.
It's so strange, man.
And just remember when they start attacking Tulsi that she is a diverse female Democrat who was their golden child for years.
Yep.
And when they start attacking her, just remember... They confirmed Marco Rubio 99-0.
Exactly. Just tells you who we need and who we don't. Yeah.
I thought we might spend some time on this, but we shouldn't at this point. But I do want to comment on, we're talking about some steps forward, and we got to mention the steps back too.
Yeah.
Because I'm not letting Trump go on stuff.
As we know, we shouldn't.
But so he has signed an executive order to revoke student visas and deport students that were participating in protests in pro-Palestinian protests.
Yeah. We got to get those terrorists out of here, Mike. You got to understand.
I find it really interesting that you can be a pro-Israel protester advocating for the complete elimination of all Palestinian lives.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But you can't advocate for a Palestinian state.
Yeah.
An independent Palestinian state, or you're going back home. And you know what? This is this should get rejected by courts. This is a complete infringement of the right to free speech. It doesn't matter that they're not American citizens. If they're under American jurisdiction, they're protected by American Constitution.
Yeah. So, and these people that he's talking about, I mean, they do have they're here legally, right?
Student visas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought so, but I just wanted to clarify that because the coverage I've seen on these has been a little weird on it.
But here's the thing that you should really, that I'd really like to drill down to, is that he's trying to make it in some sense. So now I'm going to use some of these terms a little loosely because, very specific meanings don't entirely apply. But he's trying to make it essentially illegal for people in the United States to criticize a foreign government.
Yeah.
A very specific foreign government. One particular foreign government. If like this kind of thing goes through, you are better able to criticize the American government in America than the Israeli government in America.
That is wild.
And there's something seriously wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I know that there's a lot of people out there that believe that the Constitution only applies to American citizens. That is not true.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that the Bill of Rights particularly codifies a lot of things that were at least considered by the founders to be human rights. So they apply to everybody. But certainly, legally speaking, if you're under the jurisdiction of the United States, then you're protected by the United States Constitution.
Yeah.
And the United States, which is Bill of Rights is a part of.
Yeah.
So if you think that you can go after these people legally, then they're also legally protected by the laws here.
I mean, that's the way I would understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, I would make the case that because the Constitution is primarily a restriction on the powers of government. I would make the case that even on foreign soil, that the Constitution continues to restrict the American government.
Yeah.
Not everybody would agree with that. There's certainly debate to be had, but that's my position.
Yeah,
is that the Constitution is a restriction of the power of the American government, and it applies everywhere. It is a restriction on the powers of the American government everywhere, not just at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really frustrated with this kind of thing. Of course, what it comes down to in the Trump administration is that this is the power of his donors and backers and his advisors in a lot of ways too.
Yeah. Advisors that he's picked. So
yeah. But I think that this is an affront to the U.S. Constitution and free speech, particularly, and the ability to debate issues in this country. Which, if we're going to be critical of the restriction of speech around discussions with the Ukraine war or the Iraq war or the war in Israel and Gaza now, or the vaccines and the COVID issues and so forth, if we advocate that those topics people should be free to discuss and argue and debate those topics in the public square, then this counts too. This is a part of it.
Yeah.
And of course, we keep learning more and more that a lot of the things that we were restricted from debating, like with COVID, have turned out to be true.
Exactly.
I think that we still have some of our podcasts that have been kicked off of YouTube for discussing the lab leak theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now that's just
accepted,
pretty well accepted that was the source.
Yeah.
For discussing that the vaccines wouldn't prevent infection or transmission of the virus.
Oh yeah, we couldn't talk about that, but
is anybody still trying to make the claim that the vaccine prevents
no, in fact,
infection
the
or
people that
transmission of
made
the
that
virus?
claim are trying to walk away from it.
Well, yeah.
Only problem is they said it on camera.
Yeah. The internet knows all.
Exactly.
So, and that was actually one of the interesting bits in the RFKJ confirmation is somebody asked him if he was a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
And he just started listing things that he was called a conspiracy theorist for claiming that turned out to be true.
Blatantly accepted now.
Which I thought was a really great moment for him. One of the things that I have really liked listening to him, coming back to RFKJ, and then we'll close out here.
All right.
Is that he is not taking it. He is not deferring in any way. He is attacking the people that are attacking him, and I love to see it.
Absolutely.
It is really nice to see him not just he's being respectful and so forth, but he's not taking any of it.
But he's pushing back.
Yes.
And it's amazing because he has the knowledge to push back. Mm-hmm. He's not an idiot sitting up there.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I say I don't know that he gets everything exactly correct.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you can't say he's not thinking about it and well read on it.
Yeah.
You can't say that about him.
Yeah. I certainly don't agree with everything that he's said, even in these confirmations so far.
Yeah.
But it's he's not dumb, and he's not naive.
Exactly.
He's not ignorant about any of this.
Exactly.
You may disagree with his conclusions, but it's not that he doesn't have any knowledge.
Exactly. And you got to respect that. I mean, I do.
And he's not letting it go. And I really appreciate that.
Right.
Even when those senators are like, just trying to grandstand and not allow him to answer they're just trying to ask the question. They're not trying to let him answer it.
Yeah.
He's not letting that go.
No, he's not.
And I really like that because he kind of makes them look stupid.
Well, I really hope he gets confirmed, but the truth is this guy ain't going away one way or the other.
Yeah.
And so that's something to be happy about.
Still got Bhattacharya, right? I don't know if his appointment is
has he been
subject to approval or not.
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe it is.
So. I think it's just an appointment. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't have an answer
I
to
didn't
that.
look into that.
Yeah.
If not, his confirmation will be entertaining.
It'll be
too.
That's going to be another good one.
For
sure.
All right. Well, we got some interesting thing going on to look forward to.
As we kind of close out here, I just want to. I said it at the front of last week's podcast. I'm going to say it at the end of this one. There's a lot of news right now. And I mean, we kind of cover news and political theory and a mixed bag of stuff and whatever. But just know we're trying to keep up and cover as much of this stuff as we can. But there's so much stuff coming out every day. It's like a fire hose of stuff coming out of this administration.
Yeah.
And I would like to say just too that I don't think that's an accident either.
Yeah.
That Trump knows how to play and manipulate the media, and that's exactly what he's doing with a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So, like I say, we'll try to cover the most interesting stuff, and we'll
or things that aren't covered enough.
Or things that aren't covered enough. That's a big one. So, like I say,
But we have real jobs. We can't do emergency pods.
Yeah, right. If only, right?
Yeah. Pod is not a whatever. Anyway,
you hate that term.
Yeah, I like. If you're gonna shorten it, it's gonna be a cast.
I always say cast. That's what I used to. The pod I don't like. The cast I like. Yeah. But anyway, like I say, we're out here trying to keep up with it. But yeah,
we don't have time for emergency casts either.
There you go. So, but yeah, there's just it's crazy how much is going on right now. Mm-hmm. And the direction it's all going.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting 4 years.
It is.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways where I like where this is going. There's some where I don't.
Yeah.
But
I feel like the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
At least so far.
Yeah.
At least so far.
I don't know. We'll see how the foreign policy ends up shaping up once he's got that whole team in position and they start making decisions on their own.
Yeah.
But like I said on the last podcast, if nothing else, you can say for Trump that he's a guy that believes in negotiation, which is a step forward from the last administration that refused to negotiate with anybody.
Exactly.
It was our way or the highway in the last administration, and I think that Trump, at the very least, like he feels like he negotiates from a position of power. There's no question about that. But he is somebody who's willing to talk and compromise. And I don't think the last administration was willing to do that.
They weren't willing to do either. I mean, they weren't talking with anybody, and they weren't compromising. Like, I mean, it was
all the talks were threats.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Trump does his share of threatening too.
Oh, please, yeah. Yeah, but it's always to get that upper hand in the negotiation.
Yeah.
Did you hear, just to kind of close, I know we're trying to close out here, but where was it?
We're just over an hour, so it's not like
I forget what country it was. We were trying to take the immigrants back, and they...
Oh, it was Colombia, right?
Colombia, yeah. They refused to take them, and Trump just laid down like a list of tariffs and threats, and like within an hour, they had done a 180.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like that's, I don't know, I thought that was pretty cool.
I have mixed feelings about that.
Yeah, me too. But at the same time, it was just it was wild to watch it happen because I literally got in a news update about them refusing to take them, and then like an hour later, I'm checking social media and I'm like, oh wow, like that changed really quick.
Yeah, I mean, you got some. It's like playing with the big stack at poker.
Yeah. You got the chips, and yep.
All right.
So we can close out on that now.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Okay, so you can always follow us on. I'm gonna go through the whole spiel as best I can, as usual. You can follow us on Facebook and iTunes and Podbean. Is that all the things?
I think so.
Yeah. You can follow us on YouTube too. Sorry. Yeah. So there's YouTube also. I guess there will soon be Rumble.
I was gonna say I couldn't remember the name of the one, but yeah, we're working on Rumble. We've got
Kenny,
somebody.
I think you've got my number. If you do, contact me and just let me know what you need. If you listen to this far into the podcast, if not, I will try to remember to send you a message and ask you the same question. But yeah, somebody was kind enough to volunteer to like handle that. So we'll probably be on Rumble unless we all drop the ball, which wouldn't be a total surprise, but
these things happen in life.
But yeah, you can follow us in all those places, and you can like and subscribe in most of them. You can always email me, michael@thelibertymike.com. Love to hear from you. I try to respond to everything. I mostly do. I think I do. Unless you're a jerk. Like sometimes.
Yeah.
There are occasionally messages that aren't worth responding to. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Try not to be on that list, right?
Yeah, exactly. Block is really easy.
Yeah.
You can do all those things. You can leave comments. You can tell your friends. We really appreciate that. We love the word of mouth. Trade. No, that's not the right word. Anyway.
I can't come up with one either.
Yeah. Trade was the first thing that came to mind, but it's definitely not the right word.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I better give up or I'll just get stuck on that.
Yeah.
Going through synonyms until I find what I'm looking for. All right. And then, email, comment, subscribe, word of mouth. You can leave reviews on iTunes and I think Podbean too, but I don't remember. Anyway, but we expect to be back next week. Yes, we never discussed this beforehand.
I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, there's no plans that like stand out to me. So we expect to be back next week when we finally get this right. And in the meantime, try to stay free.
Life short, live free.
Ciao.
Later.